The UPSC CSE arena is an ever-evolving space where staying up to date becomes as crucial as maintaining a thorough preparation. With strategic planning and holistic coverage for exam syllabus, Vision IS Delhi presents GS Foundation course. Avail analysis and integration of current affairs with GS syllabus. All India test series with an innovative assessment system, inculcating post-test analysis, discussion, all India ranking, and more. Explore the holistic learning modules intrinsically designed for the ideal aspirant. Syllabus of general studies for the UPSC prelims overwhelm you to initiate your preparation for the civil services examination? Is your apprehension and self-doubt coming in the way of your success in joining the civil services? Comprehend your preparation for UPSC prelims 2025 with the FastTrack course targeting general studies with innovative curriculum, revision and mentorship. Starting from 19th November at 1 p.m., the course offers coverage of UPSC GS prelims subjects, dedicated mentorship support and guidance for performance maximization, access to PT 365 classes for current affairs preparation, sectional mini tests for regular assessment and performance, personalized student portal to access study material, access to live and online classes. Enroll today and make prelims your stepping stone to proceed to the UPSC mains.
So good evening everyone, myself Himanshu Khatri, and I take modern history, post-independence India and world history at Vision IS. A brief background about myself. So इसको full screen कैसे करना है? सबसे पहले तो let's start slideshow. Right, so I did my BTech from IIT Delhi from 2004 to 2008. Then I worked in the private sector for a couple of years. Then I started preparing for UPSC from scratch. I did not know anything. Ultimately in my third attempt, I was able to clear the UPSC, and I got rank in 300s. I got into IRS. I had given an interview earlier also, so overall my journey was like in the first attempt I gave prelims, in the second I gave mains and interview, but could not qualify the interview. In the third attempt I qualified all the three stages. I worked there for 6 years, right, and in 2020 I resigned from the civil services. Right, and I entered into, before these toppers they started resigning, I was the first one to resign. Right. So here, the reason for my resignation was basically, it was a continuous contemplation. When I was in IIT, I used to teach students for physics. IIT का physics पढ़ाता था, ठीक है, बीच में, ठीक है ना, तो ऐसा, तो somehow that thing it was there, right, and I had a unique different method of learning things because I myself have not taken much of coaching. I did take coaching for the UPSC optionals, right, but at my time there used to be 2 options, so that did not leave enough time for taking GS optional, right? Matlab GS coaching. So that's why I could not take GS coaching. I should have taken, because geography was like my weak area, art and culture was like my weak area. So there the coaching could have helped, and probably the rank would have been relatively better. But fine, that's the way things turned out to be. Ultimately, I qualified the exam in your pattern, and so equal marks were there. So I went ahead with psychology, right? Because I found it relatively more interesting compared to public administration. Otherwise, both were like equal for me, right? So ultimately in 2020, because my first choice was foreign services, तो वो मिला नहीं था. So फिर वो भी एक reason थोड़ा सा बना, that what I ultimately wanted to do something which I really enjoy, right? So I enjoy teaching more than you enjoy learning, right? So I think you are my student already, right? So you would know, you can ask him. Okay, so it's more than the students, which I enjoy, right? So khair, that's like one thing. These are certain statistics which are there. So I'm going to talk about the history part, right? So from that particular perspective, if you think about the number of questions which has been asked, right? So for example, from the this thing, the prelims component agar dekha jaye, so overall fine, these are statistics. We get to know that art and culture is important, we get to know that modern history is important, but yes, some of the questions are also asked from medieval and ancient, right? So with roughly ranging from 13 to 20 questions, right? The spectrum is decent enough to actually decide whether you'll be able to clear the exam or not, right? Because each and every marks matters. Now this is the syllabus portion of it, right? Obviously I'll tell you the syllabus, right? So that's so boring, I think you can download it. Right? So that's no use. You're not here to look at syllabuses, right? Syllabus to kahin se mil jayega nowadays. You can very easily find a YouTube video also telling about syllabus, right? So what can I do different, right? एक बार पढ़ते हैं इसको, so that we do that thing also. So ancient history base is prehistoric period and Indus Valley civilization. Okay, so whenever we come to elaboration, it is early Indian societies and states. Example, Vedic period, some time period is given. Mahajanpada, right, which were powerful kingdoms. Then Mauryan and Gupta empires, Harsha dynasty, and the propagation of Buddhism and Jainism, South Indian kingdoms, including Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas, right? And then some sources are mentioned. Obviously, Vision IS has done very good work with respect to codifying the content. So Vision IS is there. Ancient India, class 11th old NCRT plus Tamil Nadu NCRT, and well, many sources are available, right? But fine, this can act as a source. So what do we see a pattern? Right, do we see a pattern here? The pattern here is, if you notice again, what you're talking about is early Indian societies and states. So is there a difference between the word society and the states? What is the meaning of the word states, right? The meaning of the word state is that state is basically an organization which rules a predefined territory and the people on it, right? State structure looks like legislature, executive, judiciary. President is called head of the state, right? And be it president of India, be it prime minister of India, be it any minister, right? Be it any MP, be it any judge, be it any civil servant, be it any military servant, all of them are employees of the state. State is like a company whose CEO is prime minister, right? Now, and all of these people are basically, CEO is also an employee, he also gets salary. So you can check legally, when do you call a person an employee? When that person gets salary, right? And salaried people, they pay income tax, and those people who have business income, they pay corporate tax, right? Or some other kind of tax, but salary wala income tax is paid by an employee, right? Us case mein PPF katta hai. All of these people are employee of which organization? Organization is state. Now whenever you want to get a job, right, in a particular organization, so therefore there is a method of recruitment. So if you want to become MP, if you want to become that kind of an employee, the method is that you fight elections, right? If you want to become a judge, then the method is maybe you can give the judiciary exam, or you can serve as lawyer for some time period, and then the constitution says that you can be elevated to become a high court judge. These are all mechanisms to get a job in this organization which is called state, right? And state is an organization that rules a predefined territory and the people on it, right? When this state works for the people, you call it welfare state. When the state becomes what you call as too much focused on expansion of territory, then you call it empire building state, right? So therefore that's the perspective, that's the meaning of the word state. And why are you present here? Because you also want a job in this particular organization which we call state. Where exactly you want? Legislature, executive, judiciary. In the executive, minister, civil servant, military servant. You want to get into this particular branch of the executive, which you call civil services, right? There also you want to get into particular things like certain group A services. Otherwise, you would be giving Indian Engineering Services exam, right? Those are also civil servants, right? You give NDA exam or CDS exam if you want to get into the military services, right? Now, if you are giving a job interview in any private organization, don't you know about that organization, or should you not know about that organization, that what is the purpose of that organization? The first question that will be asked in the interview is, imagine that the company is Google. Why do you want to join Google? How can you contribute to Google? Right? That's how you prepare your CV. That's how you do a background research on that particular organization, right? So why the same should not be expected from you when you're trying to apply for this organization? You should know about the state. You should know about the structure of the state. You should know about the function of the state. You should know that how in different branches of the state, people they can get appointed, how the people they can be removed, how these people they can be held accountable for their actions. Because like private companies have shareholders, and private companies they have motive of profit. Of who? They work for profit of shareholders, right? And private companies have CEO. Similarly, if state is an organization, then who is the shareholder? The shareholder are the citizens, right? And the state works for welfare of its citizens, right? So therefore you should know that how to hold accountable the state, right? So therefore all of your UPSC syllabus is actually designed, or most of it is actually designed with respect to study of the state. I can prove it to you. Every organization, every private organization has a bank account, right, from which it pays its employees, it does new projects, etc. The state also has a bank account which you call public exchequer. Every private organization has a source of income, right, and it has some expenditure also. So therefore, how does a state earns income? There are two mechanisms. A, tax collection. So therefore in your economics you study about taxation methods, right? And then then the state can also have PSU. That is, rather than having 30% of the profits, I want 100 rupees only. State becomes lalchi, greedy, in public interest only, because state is nation state, right? That kind of scenario, right? So therefore they set up PSUs, right? That is, here I don't want 30%, I want 100 rupees, right? Munafa bhi mera, sab kuch mera. Although it is a separate matter that people's interest is supreme, that is citizens' interest is supreme. So even for that, if I have to work in negative, that's okay. I'm not here for profit motive. I'm an organization which has territory motive or people motive, because state is an organization that rules a territory and the people on it, right? So therefore those are the sources of income, right? Similarly, some other sources of income can be there. Cess, surcharges. So therefore when you are studying economics, आपको सब ये सब पढ़ना पड़ता है, that what is the cess, how a cess is different from surcharge, right? What is royalty, in which particular cases the state gets royalty from the mines, right? This all you have to study, right? And then that money has to be also spent. That money is also be spent. So therefore you study about budget. What is budget? Budget is statement of income and expenditure. Are whose income and expenditure? Why don't the books they tell you that clearly? Why do they stop? They put a full stop there itself. That budget is a statement of income and expenditure. पूरा तो बोलो, किसका expenditure, किसका income? Of the state. State, which is an organization, right? And the bank account of the state, it is called public exchequer. And the money which the state spends, it is called taxpayer money. Do you see how everything relates to the state? The basic concept of state as an organization, right? Its bank account. So therefore most of it, now every organization, do you think any organization can sustain if it is not making profits? Although the state is not having profit motive, but still it has to be financially sustainable. So therefore in your economics you study about fiscal deficit, budget deficit, consequences of that budget deficit, fiscal deficit, right? So therefore state is an organization and you want a job in that state. And most of your UPSC syllabus, right, economics looks at economy of the state, right, and its shareholders, that is the people, right? Similarly history, why should we study history? Be it modern history, be it medieval history, be it ancient history. Why should we study? All history is nothing but dominated by history of states. The different states which have ruled this territory, which we call India. At times, the whole territory was under one state only. At times, there were multiple states which are ruling this territory and its people. Right? There was a rise of big states, fall of big states. But there was one thing common in all of those states. All of those states, more or less, were military states. What is a military state? A military state is an organization which is set up with the help of military victory. And it continues to rule that territory and the people till there is a military defeat. Therefore, you study wars. First battle of Panipat led to establishment of Mughal kingdom. Second battle of Panipat led to re-establishment of Mughal kingdom. Third battle of Panipat prevented Marathas from establishing their own state over whole of India. They were all military states. What do you call nation state? Nation state. Such an organization which is set up by the nation. What do you mean by nation? If state is the organization that rules a territory and people, nation is summation of people who feel one, equal and supreme. Nation is not territory, it is people. That definition was given by French Revolution 1789. Nation is people. Right? Nation is summation of people who feel one, fraternity, equal, equality, supreme, liberty. Liberty, equality, fraternity. Most of us make rote learning of French Revolution, liberty, equality, fraternity. What does it exactly mean? Then we start fattebaji. This. Exactly we do not know that what do we want to say. It is basically, in layman terms, it basically means summation of people who feel one, born equal and supreme. Nation first. This slogan comes from that nation is supreme. Right? And accordingly you decide what is national interest. It is nation's interest, people's interest. That's why you do not randomly start fighting a war with China. No, because then the economy will go back and therefore the common man will not be able to put food on the table for his family. So therefore that war will not be in national interest. So therefore that's why randomly you don't start fighting wars if China does some incursions. Right? Ultimately the state is working for nation's interest. Right? Nation, that is people. And it is a nation state. Now all of those states which existed, they were military states in the ancient, medieval and modern history. One thing different happened. For the first time in history, a state was established which was nation state. That happened technically, legally on 26th of January 1950 when our constitution became a law. Whether this state will also fail like the previous states or this state will survive and rather thrive. How can we ensure that as employees of this state? And a state can fail because of economic reasons. That's why I study economics. Right? And that's why I also study history. Learn from history. What were the mistakes which those previous states did because of which they withered away? And what were the good things? There must be something which we can learn from those states. Let us repeat the goods of the past. Let us prevent the negatives of the past. And therefore let us ensure that this experiment which we have begun with Indian national movement, right, that is a nation state, this state survives. Because if this also fails, then we would have to do a reassessment that where as a nation state also we were doing something wrong. Right? That's why we should study history. Second, state is important because we are employees of that. But who we are working for? We are working for territory and people. That's why you would notice territorial integrity of India, Sarvopari, territorial integrity of India, territorial integrity of India. It becomes so important. Every politician, everyone says territorial integrity of India. Why? Because state is an organization which is ruling a territory, predefined territory and its people. And not even an inch of that territory can be given to anyone else. Because that territory is of people. Its resources are of people. That's why wars are also fought by one of the sub-organization of this larger organization. That organization is called military. Military, civil services, legislature, executive, judiciary, these are all sub-organizations of this larger organization called state. When you give ND exam, you study more about military. When you get civil services exam, you study more about the civil aspects. Right? That's how our syllabus is designed. Right? Second, not just territory, people. People are supreme. Nation is supreme. So therefore, we study about people. And common man wants what? You must have seen the movie Wednesday. Have you seen the movie Wednesday? Nasiruddin Shah is there. देखो यार मूवी वूवी देखना चाहिए. How many of you have seen movie Wednesday? 1, 2, 3, 4. तूने तब भी नहीं देखी जब मैंने क्लास में बोला तेरे को. Right? Common man does not want to be MP, MLA, Mantri. Common man wants only three things. Three securities. Economic security, physical security, socio-cultural security. In the movie Wednesday, when physical security is not there, therefore the common man threatens the whole Mumbai police. That I have put bombs there, and then Anupam Kher, police commissioner, gets in touch with Nasiruddin Shah, and then you know what Nasiruddin Shah says? That I have an old wife, and when I go out for work in the morning, she is worried whether I'll come back alive or not. Physical security is there or not. So therefore, this is your job. Right? Economic security. BA किया है, MA किया है, लगता है सब कुछ MA किया है, हालचाल ठीक ठाक है, बाकी सब ठीक ठाक है. मेरे अपने मूवी 1971 super hit song, you people really loved it. Why? Because you people could relate to it. You were college pass outs. BA किया, MA किया, पर लगता है सब कुछ MA किया. That is, you're not able to get jobs. In 1971, when slogan was Indira is India and India is Indira, because Indira Gandhi leadership had given us victory over Pakistan in 1971 war from 3rd of December till 13 दिन चली थी, 3rd of December to 16th of December. Right? In 13 days we defeated Pakistan and Bangladesh was created. ऐसा क्या हुआ that against that same Indira Gandhi, JP movement is going to begin within 2 years in 1973, which is going to lead us to emergency in 1977. BA किया है, MA किया है, लगता है सब कुछ MA किया है, unemployment. Common man does not want to be MLA, MP, minister, right? But common man wants economic security, physical security, socio-cultural security. So therefore, you see, JP movement happened. And ultimately, for the first time in 1977, Congress lost elections at the center. Otherwise, it was always used to be Congress government. Because why? Because common inflation was 22% in 1974. Common man wants economic security. Right? Then Veer Savarkar wrote a book in 1909. Indian War for Independence, fought for Swadharm and Swaraj. It was on 1857 revolt. It was for 1857 revolt, where Hindus and Muslims together fought together, died together. Why? The major reason was everyone felt that our religion is under threat. Our culture is under threat. Our social fabric is under threat. Because from 1813 onwards, the Britishers had started forceful convergence also. Right? So therefore, common man does not want to be MP, MLA, minister. Common man wants economic security. Common man wants physical security. And here, I gave you the example of common man wanting socio-cultural security. Religion is part of culture. Right? So therefore, people is important. So therefore, we should know about the people also. And at times, people express themselves in form of art. Right? Popular culture. Right? So if we want to know about the economics of the people, about the art of the people, right? And religion is very important for the common man. Common man does not want to be MP, MLA, minister. But in those times, and in today's times also, in some cases, religion is also important. Right? Because common man को देखो पावर वार तो वैसे मिलने वाली है नहीं, MP, MLA तो बनने वाला है नहीं वो. Common man wants to lead a good life which makes him or her feel that I lived as per my basic core values, and many of the time those values are given by religion. Right? Common man basically wants to die in peace, that I was a good father, I was a good mother, I was a good sister, I was a good daughter, I was a good countryman, I was a good person of my nation, and ultimately somewhere through X religion or Y religion, I'm going to go towards something better after this life. Right? So religion becomes kind of like important for the common man, usually. Right? So therefore, now you look at the same syllabus. You are aspiring for a job in this organization called state. Right? So the syllabus is nothing but two words: the state and the people. Right? So therefore, you study about Vedic period. Vedic period is about what? About religion, or about the thoughts, the values. It's more about people, people orientation. Then you have Mahajanapada. What were Mahajanapadas? They were powerful kingdoms. What are kingdoms? Such a state whose head of the state is a king. Who is the king? Means the next king will be decided by my bloodline. In nation state, in republics, elections decide the next head of state. US was the first republic. Recently elections have taken place. People have decided who will be their next president. What is a kingdom then? It is nothing but a state where the next head of state is decided by bloodline. Otherwise, there is no difference between dictator and king. What is the difference between Hitler and a king? In the case of Hitler, you do not know that whether the next dictator will be decided by bloodline, or Mr. Hitler will say that from tomorrow you are the next Führer. Bloodline is the only difference between an absolute monarch and a person who you call dictator. Right? So kingdom is basically a state whose head of the state is decided by bloodline. Right? So it is nothing but a state, powerful states. They should write down powerful states. They confuse us. How many of you are from humanities background? You humanities background people, I have a problem with, small problem. I am from science background. You people misuse language to your advantage. You people want to say the same thing, but you people will use language to say that thing in 10 different ways, and then you will not tell the thing in full. Therefore, you will make humanities people also do rote learning, and science people also do rote learning. Right? Language. Same thing you will say, but with different words. What is in history subordinate alliance? Something similar is protectorate in world history. है ना, ऐसा ऐसा चीज करते हो आप लोग, ठीक है ना. तो खैर, I'm there. My whole purpose is that, for example, when we teach history, we try to focus on this, that a person who is a backbencher, that is a person who has never been, like a topper or something, but tries to focus on basics, and so therefore can we make studies easy for that person, right? And therefore we try to until unless we'll try to focus on the basic concepts of things, till that point of time, yes, we will become capable of using complex words also, but we also know that what is the underlying meaning. And underlying meaning wise, humanities syllabus is not very large syllabus, right? 80% are words, 20% are concepts in humanities. Don't feel bad, those who are from humanities, but 80% are words and 20% are basically concepts. And therefore, if such a mechanism or such a system is there which can help us identify that 20%, then fine, we are also capable of generation of language. We can also add language on the top of that, no problem, right? So therefore, we try to study history from a conceptual perspective, right, whereby we clearly identify that this is a concept, and then we also highlight that, see, in this time period this concept was given this name, in this time period this concept was given this name, this is slightly different like this is slightly different like this, so that student feels at ease that I don't have to do rote learning, right? So therefore that becomes like the focus. So Mahajanpadas are nothing but powerful states, so we study about them. What was the state structure, what was the territory, right? Acha, state is also not just horizontal, it is also vertical. What is the structure of the state? Structure of the state is like this. See, simple point is that whenever the work is very, very high, right, then we try to divide the work. All of us have families, right? So therefore the workload of family is high. So are not the responsibilities divided between mummy and papa? They are divided, right? Right? So external affairs are handled by papa. Those of us whose mother is a housewife, so their finance is also with papa. Income part, expenditure part with mummy. Home ministry is with mummy, right? So you see, whenever the work is very, very large, right, but then you became more than 18 years of age, right? और ये तो विद्रोह कर बैठा, है ना? He was like, now I am an adult. If I can vote in the elections, why cannot handle other responsibilities of the house? Why cannot I drive a bike? Why cannot have a bike in my own name? Or I cannot drive a car, etc., etc. That creates pressure on the parents, right? ये autonomous होने लगा. Look at each word carefully. I am a person who tries to be a lawyer, because law is very, very important in life of bureaucrat, right? Each word is very, very important, right? Autonomous is not total independence, right? Autonomous means simply azadi. How much azad we do not know. Try to be independent, autonomous, right? Right. There used to be a time when he used to tell his father, everything, that I am here now. Nowadays, when he is above 18 years of age, when parents call, where are you? Like, हमें हमेशा पूछते रहते हो, कहाँ यहीं पे हूँ, कहाँ दिल्ली में ही हूँ, खाली खा लिया खाना, ऐसा ऐसा ऑटोनॉमी झलकने लगता है. व्हाई कैन नॉट आई गो ऑन अ ट्रिप विद माय फ्रेंड्स, नाउ तो आई एम अबव 18 इयर्स ऑफ एज, है ना? ऐसा ऑटोनॉमी निकलने लगता है, ऐसा ऑटोनोमस, है ना? तो बच्चा जब बड़ा होने लगता है, ऑटोनोमस, राइट? सो देयरफॉर अब ओवरऑल फैमिली है तो ठीक है, पेरेंट्स आल्सो रियलाइज दैट द किड हैज ग्रोन, सो फाइन, दे आल्सो स्टार्ट गिविंग डिसीजन मेकिंग पावर टू द child, right? And she also starts handling some of the responsibilities of the family, right? So therefore, when it was division of responsibility between mother and father, it was horizontal division of work. And when it is division of responsibility between parents and now sensible grown up children, so therefore that's vertical division. So basically you divide the work vertically and horizontally whenever the workload is very, very high. And that's how organizations also tend to have a horizontal division and also vertical division. At times, horizontally, the work is divided into departments. Let's say any private organization, right? And then each department would have a vertical hierarchy, right? A manager heading each department and then juniors, right? So therefore, that's how the structure of the state becomes like this. The structure of the state is basically you have head of state, and below this we have what you call as legislature, we have executive, and we have judiciary, right? Then at times we also have some organizations which handle that how people will enter into LEJ. Example, UPSC handles how people will enter. This is ministers or ministers, and under the minister you have civil servants and you have military servants, right? So at times you have organizations like UPSC who handle that how people will enter here, right? Now these people, they can also, their work can also be vertically divided. So we have SSC also, and we have state PCS also, accordingly to decide how to help people get into different level, right? Election Commission of India, it helps people get into this, right? So fine, that's how it is. Similarly, judiciary and all, right? So this is the basic structure of the state, right? LEJ. But this whole system, because the workload is very high, is also divided like this, that is into center and into province level, that is provinces, that is Lok Sabha here, and here you will have state legislative assembly, right? There you have council of minister under prime minister, here you will have council of minister under chief minister, here you will have Supreme Court, here you will have High Court. But there's a third level also which you call local, where you have panchayats for the rural areas and municipalities for the urban areas and district courts for the judiciary, right? Because the workload is very, very high, so the work is not just divided what you call as horizontally, right, but is also divided vertically. Nature of work we have divided, making of laws, implementing those laws, and just in case if any dispute arises out of making of these laws and implementation of these laws, then we have a judiciary also, and we have that at all three levels, right? So that's the structure of the state, right? That is what you study, for example, in your polity. But this is a modern structure. Modern is something, by the way, what is modern in modern Indian history? Modern is something which is new in time and which is relatively better. Feudal is something which is old in time and bad. But always remember, old can be gold, like Lata Mangeshkar, right? So not everything is bad which is old, right? That's why we study history also, that whatever gold was there, let us try to find it out, right? And whatever bad was there, let us try to get not have. But this is modern state structure. But even in pre-modern state structures, काम तो यही है, that is making laws, implementing them, and just in case if any dispute, then resolving them, right? This is called separation of power in polity. What happens in absolute monarchy? Mono means one, archy means authority, right? When parliament is also the king, pradhan mantri is also the king, chief justice is also the king, mono, one, authority, archy, but कार्य उनको भी वही करना है, making laws, passing orders, implementing them, resolving disputes. The work has remained the same, just that today we get it done through different separate independent bodies, sub-organizations called legislature, executive, judiciary, right? So therefore, when we study Mahajanpadas, we will try to see that, okay, whether there was any vertical division like this, right? Whether there were any local governments, right? Whether any separation of power was there. So therefore, we try to think about those things, right? So that's how the thing is there, right? Then we have what you call as ठीक है, तो ये सब चीजें हम मौर्यन के लिए भी करेंगे. These things we'll do for Gupta also, right? Gupta Empire, for Harsha dynasty, right? ऐसा. And then again you see Buddhism and Jainism, they are religion, right? So again we have people approach. So how lives of the people will change in a dramatic form if people they start adopting new religions, right? So therefore we try to understand that. Similarly, South India may again we look at state approach. So do you see nothing but the whole syllabus is nothing but the state and the people. And for the people, economic security, physical security, socio-cultural security. Physical security to usually the state maintains until unless some big things are happening. Maybe because of nature or because of some human actions, right? For example, at times because of nature, some disasters take place. So in modern history, for example, you study about, in world history, you, for example, study about slightly about Spanish flu, because that killed millions. So physical security kind of like came under threat, right? Or you study about famines, that is because of food insecurity, lakhs of people dying. So UPSC also asked question, why during the British time period there were recurrent famines? In the mains they have asked this question. So physical security because it came under threat, also economic security, right? You study about social reforms similarly in modern history. Why? Because that impacts the culture security, social aspect of life, right? So similarly in medieval you study about states again, such states which were kingdoms. Acha, by the way, what is the difference between a king and an emperor, or a kingdom and an empire? Empire is summation of kingdoms, right? So king is smaller, emperor is bigger, right? So dynasty means what? That means the bloodline will decide who will be the next king or next head of the state. So again you get into the same mode. You study about Delhi Sultanate, right? You study about Vijayanagar Empire 1336-1646. Vijayanagar Empire kahan tha? Vijayanagar Empire, this is Maharashtra, this is Telangana. West was Vijayanagar Empire, that is Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, KTK. Was Vijayanagar Empire. Okay, it was there for roughly 300 years. Then Bahmani Sultanate, this was there in the Deccan. Deccan matlab Deccan bhi do hai. Bombay Deccan and Hyderabad Deccan. Usually people think of Telangana when they think about Deccan. No. Maharashtra is also Deccan, right? So Bahmani, Sultanate was there. So fine. Mughal Empire, 1526 में Babur won the first battle of Panipat. He removed Delhi Sultanate. I told you, these are all military states. They come to power with military victory and stay in power till military defeat. First battle of Panipat was military defeat, and therefore a new state is established called Mughal. ये गलत पढ़ाते हैं syllabus humanities वाले. They should say Mughal state. अब state can be size of kingdom, state can be size of empire. That's okay. बट बताओ तो सही एटलीस्ट. बाद में वी कैन यूज मुगल एम्पायर, बट फर्स्ट टाइम पे तो बताओ दैट इज अ न्यू स्टेट. अ मुगल स्टेट इज रिप्लेसिंग another state called Delhi Sultanate in 1526 by defeating Ibrahim Lodi, right? So therefore we discuss certain questions that why that happened, why Babur was victorious, right? Whatever logical questions come to our mind, we try to find answer to those questions when we study this history, right? Then we try to study structure of the Mughal state. So we study about Mansabdars. We study about, okay, so what was the common man does not want to be MP, MLA, minister, but common man wants economic security, physical security, socio-cultural security. So such topics like what was the land revenue system of Mughals become important. Land revenue is basically the tax which is applied on a peasant. Peasant means farmer, kisan, right? So we try to study land revenue system, whether it was high, whether it was low, who used to collect it, how much was collected, right? All of these things we try to study. We try to study the bureaucracy system, so we study Mansabdari system, right? We try to think, can common man become bureaucrat, can common man become IAS officer or not, right? So we try to get into all of those things, right? Then we then for example Aurangzeb becomes important, right? Because the socio-cultural security, you know, came under threat during time period of Aurangzeb. A lot of political debates also take place on Aurangzeb, right? So therefore what were his socio-religious policies, उसके बारे में थोड़ा सा चित्रण थोड़ा सा करना पड़ता है कि अच्छा what is that, right? Because socio-cultural security, right? तो ऐसा. Then socio-cultural transformations again you see, right? So again religion becomes important. Sufi movement, right? Bhakti movement, लिटरेचर, बिकॉज कॉमन मैन की लाइफ के बारे में हम कैसे जान पाते हैं, लिटरेचर के थ्रू जान पाते हैं, इट इज थ्रू लिटरेचर. सो देयरफॉर जितना भी आर्ट एंड कल्चर वाला एलिमेंट है, it is also present in modern and medieval and ancient history also, and separately also special focus on art and culture because we have focus on people, right? Because people express themselves in form of art forms, it impacts their way of life, right? So that's why the focus is there, right? Same aspect art and culture तो पूरा वही है, ठीक है? Art, architecture, music, dance, there you study about that, okay, in different, there you basically simply say, actually सारा UPSC syllabus ही ऐसा है. When you study economics for example, then you say एक काम करो, बाकी aspects को importance में down कर दो, मेरे को ज़्यादा economics के बारे में बताओ, state की और people की. When you study society, you say बाकी aspects को down कर दो, you tell me more about the socio-cultural aspect or social aspects of people. वहां पे भी डिवीजन हो गया है कि सोशल अलग और कल्चर अलग. तो एक नया सब्जेक्ट आ गया आर्ट एंड कल्चर, ठीक है? कि इन आर्ट एंड कल्चर यू विल स्टडी द सेम थिंग इन डिफरेंट टाइम पीरियड्स, बट less focus on economic aspect, less focus on state aspect, more focus on art and culture of different time periods. That is why actually students at times get confused that sir, there is a lot of overlap between ancient Indian history and art and culture. होगा ही, okay, it's kind of like natural, right? In fact, history is like general studies pre 1947, because when you study history you also study, you kind of like study, you touch upon everything, right? So GS pre 1947, it is nothing but history, right? And those who do not know their history, अब थोड़ा सा अपना swag बना रहे हैं, ऐसा dialogue है, those who don't know their history, they repeat the mistakes of their history and they wither away, right? So therefore knowledge of history is very important irrespective of marks which are there in UPSC, right? So we should know all of these things. Then in modern Indian history, this is like my core domain, modern and world. So maybe you will notice that I'll be speaking slightly more. वैसे मेरा time 10-15 मिनट का है, खैर. Anyways, so 10 minutes I think I have more. So basically the structure, right, of this thing, it is, एक तो ये बात है that it is in the nature of the power to centralize itself. That's like one thing, right? But whenever the personality of the center will weaken na, power will leave you. जैसे it happens with our grandfather. I give the examples of grandfather, right? That is, there was a time when grandfather was in his 50s, right? His personality, his mental abilities, right? His physical strength was very strong. So nothing used to happen in the house without the command of, without the agreement of grandfather. But as he becomes old, gradually power leaves him. Na? Now your father, your uncles, your chacha, your tau, they start becoming key decision makers in the family. See, as personality weakened, power got decentralized, power will leave. Right? So it is in the nature of the power to centralize itself, but the personality should be strong. That personality can be of individual also, that personality can be of institution also. Institution माने for example rules of functioning of Lok Sabha, rules of functioning of Rajya Sabha, वो कैसे हैं? Method of selection to Lok Sabha, method of selection election to Rajya Sabha, वो कैसा है? Right? If some institutional problem will be there, then that can also weaken the percent. Well, think like this. So fine, Mughals were able to establish a strong state, but after Aurangzeb, right, that is after his death in 1707, weak rulers became emperors. So therefore, power left them. Right, power will leave either vertically downwards or it will leave horizontally. For example, for Delhi Sultanate, power left it horizontally. Horizontal replacement. Delhi Sultanate replaced by Babur in 1526. Horizontal replacement. Vertical replacement, the grandfather example which I gave you. Right. So therefore, when there was decline of Mughal, which is our first topic, then we try to see that okay, power. There was a rise of smaller states, right, which are like successor states, rebel states, already autonomous states. नाम में सब कुछ है. Those states which are set up by fighting against the Mughals, they are called rebel states. Marathas, Sikh, Jats, Afghans. Successor means Uttaradhikari. Those states which were set up by government officer of Mughal state, Bengal, Awadh, Hyderabad. That is, these people they said at जहां पर ना अब हो गया आपका, ठीक है. In Bengal, that will happen which I decide. Plus my son will become next governor of Bengal. So ये हो गया भाई successor state, right? तो ऐसे बंगाल, अवध, हैदराबाद already autonomous, which were पहले से autonomous, like Mysore, Travancore, Rajputs. मतलब so बाहुबली इसीलिए मूवी मुझे बड़ी सी लगती है ना. So already autonomous state में मुगल emperor could never say वचन ये मेरा शासन, like शिवगामी used to say. बाहुबली देखिए, वो भी नहीं देखी. मूवी देखा करो यार, है ना. हिस्ट्री पढ़ाना आसान हो जाता है ना. वचन ये मेरा शासन. दिस डायलॉग कुड नॉट बी सेड बाय मुगल एम्परर एवर in Rajputana, in Travancore, that is Kerala, and in Mysore, that is Karnataka. In Mysore and Travancore, the reason was geography, because Delhi is very, very far off away. And in the case of Rajputs, the military strength of the Rajputs. Right? So therefore, they were already autonomous. वो पहले से ही जो करना चाहते थे वो ही करते थे, ठीक है. But it is in the nature of the power to centralize itself. So therefore, there was rise of Marathas, and Marathas were just about to conquer all India level power. But then this third battle of Panipat happened. So therefore, many leaders died. So therefore, their power started declining. Ultimately, it was a company which established all India power. So therefore, we study about rise of East India Company. We study about wars. Then we also have to study about the state structure. So we study about EIC administration, the manner in which they used to collect land revenue, their economic policies, right? Then we also study that, okay, what was the impact on the common man? Was his economic security, physical security, socio-cultural security threatened, right? And if it was threatened, then what was the reaction of the common man? So common man reacted in the form of pre-1857 revolts, 1857 revolt, post-1857 revolts, but we failed. But we salute the spirit of people, our ancestors. Every failure in anti-British struggle led to stronger anti-British struggle. कैसे? When our violence failed, so therefore we adopted something called modern Indian politics. ऐसा मतलब Indian national movement. तो वहाँ पे we study about some people who used to only write, letters to British. They are called moderates. Then there were some people like Lal Bal Pal, Shri Aurobindo, who believed in people, mass protests. So we study about extremists, right? Then Pata poster Nikolai Hero Mahatma Gandhi, 1920 Gandhian struggle. He was the hero of INM, right? So we study about him. We study about revolutionaries, Bhagat Singh, etc. Because these are all responses from the people because their economic security, physical security, social security is coming under threat, right? And ultimately we were successful in dismantling the British state and establishing our own state through the Constitution of India. The purpose of any constitution is to create a state. There shall be Lok Sabha, there shall be Rajya Sabha, there shall be a Council of Ministers, there shall be a Supreme Court. ये fundamental rights and DPSPs. If you compare number of article wise, they form a very small proportion of the total articles which are there in the Constitution. Primary purpose of any constitution is to build the structure of the state, define the function, tell how you can become member of this sub-organization, right? Member of that sub-organization, right? There shall be election commissioner, right? So you tell everything. You are creating this structure, state structure. This state is going to be very powerful. It should not ever, although it is created by the nation. How do we know it is created by the nation? In preamble it is written, we the people of India on this day give ourselves this constitution. That means we the people means nation. On this day give ourselves this constitution which creates state. So therefore India is a nation state. Preamble में बताया हुआ है that we are nation state. We the people of India give ourselves this state. That is this constitution. So that this state does not misuse its power. So fine. We have fundamental rights and we have some DPSPs also to tell the state कि ideally आपको ऐसे ऐसे कुछ कुछ काम करना चाहिए. ठीक है ना? So therefore to have a system of checks and balances, right? Like shareholders vote in company to decide board of directors, we also get to vote, but once in every 5 years, right? We also change our board of directors, right? That is parliamentarians, right? So therefore it's an organization actually, right? So we study all of these things, right, in modern history. Similarly, what is world history? In the world history, by the way, we also study about social reforms because that is related to social aspect, right? So we study about banning of sati in 1829. We study about Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, who was responsible for Hindu Widow Remarriages Act. We study about issues of एक न्यूमोनिक सा बना रखा है मैंने, ठीक है? न्यूमोनिक है इटालियन प्राइम मिनिस्टर इन कलकत्ता फॉर प्री पोल. ऐसे न्यूमोनिक इटालियन, मतलब इमेजिन करो इटालियन प्राइम मिनिस्टर इंडिया आ जाए और कलकत्ता में वोटिंग चल रही है एंड वो पॉलिटिकल कैंपेनिंग कर दे, ऐसा कुछ हो जाए, ऐसा हाइपोथेटिकली. आई से आइडलेटरी, ठीक. पी से प्रीस्ट क्राफ्ट, एम से मैरिज, चाइल्ड मैरिज, विडो मैरिज. इन आई से इन्फेंटिसाइड, फीमेल इन्फेंटिसाइड, आई से इन्फेंटिसाइड. कैलकाटा सी से कास्टिज्म, राइट? फॉर वो ऐसे ही कनेक्टर है. प्री पोल्स, पीपी पॉलीथीज्म, पॉलीगैमी, राइट? उसमें हम एजुकेटेड भी डाल देते हैं. एजुकेटेड इटालियन प्राइम मिनिस्टर, सो एजुकेटेड से वेस्टर्न एजुकेशन, राइट? सो इश्यूज ऑफ वेस्टर्न एजुकेशन, आइडलेट्री, राइट, प्रीस्क्राफ्ट, विडो मैरिज, चाइल्ड मैरिज, कास्टिज्म, इन्फेंटिसाइड, पॉलीगैमी, polytheism, right? These are certain social issues which used to impact the happiness of the common man in daily life. So therefore, when a social reform movement began with respect to rectifying some of the negatives, so therefore, which all organizations were set up, which all people became famous. So we start with Raja Ram Mohan Roy, right, Young Bengal, right, and later on after 1857 we talk about Swami Dayananda Saraswati, Swami Vivekananda, right? So what all aisa? Why those reforms happened only in 1800s? Why not in 1700s? These type of questions we try to think about. Were they successful? If not, why failed? If successful, why successful? Right? So therefore, these kind of things we try to see. And lastly, there is great focus on structure of the state. And as I told you, what creates the state constitution. So we also do a constitutional journey. Right? Constitutions were created by Britishers. Right? So we give extra importance to Regulating Act 1773, Pitt's India Act 1784, then Amending Act of 1786, then Charter Act of 1793, Charter Act of 1813, Charter Act of 1833, Charter Act of 1853, Government of India Act 1858, Indian Councils Act 1861, Indian Councils Act 1892, Indian Councils Act 1909, Government of India Act 1919, Government of India Act 1935, Indian Independence Act 1947, Constitution of India 1950. वो आप पॉलिटी में पढ़ोगे, right? So therefore, if you study history from this perspective, will you not have great ease, right, at least of significant aspects in studying the Constitution of India and polity? So therefore, we try to work in that manner that if we are studying history, then our focus should be on those aspects which are relevant for a bureaucrat. And for a bureaucrat, constitutions are important, and therefore अगर हम threadbare analysis करें of all of these constitutional, so we know about the constitutional history of India, and we all know that the modern day constitution is greatly inspired from the work which was done by the Britishers. So therefore, if you study history from this perspective, it is not just about how many questions were asked from history, but you also get to have an ease of understanding of polity also and of economics also. Right, so ye from this particular perspective. Similarly, what is world history? World history is about superpowers. What are superpowers? You know what does a superpower says? That I am a state which may be legally ruling only the territory of United States of America, but I am going to have actual rule over whole of earth's territory and its people. So world history is nothing but primarily focused on history of super states, superpowers. It is in the nature of the power to centralize itself. So superpowers have come and gone, come and gone. बीच में जो time period होता है, their different parts of the world are under influence of different states, which our foreign minister calls multipolar world. Unipolar world, one super state, one superpower. Bipolar world, US and USSR 1945-91, two superpowers dominating the whole earth and its people. Right? If United Nation had its own army, if United Nation had its own source of revenue, that is, if we were paying some United Nation tax, then the United Nation is a supranational state which ideally should rule the whole world and its people. And what is the preamble of United Nations? The UN Charter. What is the Lok Sabha of United Nations? United Nations General Assembly. What is the cabinet of United Nations? United Nations Security Council, P5. Like we have health department, health mantralaya, they have health department. Right? है ना उनके पास, है ना? Like तो ऐसे ऐसे वो बेसिक वो भी एक supranational state है. Supranational state actually legally it is called, right? So khair, we study about that. Our syllabus begins there also from 1700s, in modern history also from 1700s. So therefore we talk about that how there was rise of Britain as a superpower. Economy is very important, so we study about industrial revolution, the spread of industrial revolution. People are very important, so therefore we study about English, we study about American Revolution, because that resulted in republic. That is such a state where head of the state will not be chosen by bloodline, it will be chosen by elections by the people, first republic, right? So we study American Revolution, right? And then we study French Revolution, 1789, right? We study about rise of another superpower, Napoleon, right, who got ultimately defeated in 1815, right? We study about rise of another power called Germany, unification of Germany, unification of Italy, 1870. Why do we study that? A, they are important states, and B, you are Italian, I am Italian, she is Italian, he is Italian. As a nation, we are Italians. But why are we divided into multiple territories and under multiple states? Just because, so that your king can feel awesome, your king can feel awesome, my king can feel awesome, your king and your king, they can, these families, because of these power status of these families, we are divided into multiple countries and multiple kingdoms. What the hell, man? We are all Italians, and nation is summation of people who feel one, equal and supreme, right? So therefore, unify, destroy all of these kingdoms, establish one Italy. Destroy all of these 300 kingdoms of Germany, establish one Germany. So it was nation idea that resulted in territorial reorganization of whole of Europe, right? So we study nationalism, right? अब बहुत सारे लोग गरीब भी थे. So nation is summation of people who feel one, equal and supreme. So nation's interest is important. By chance ऐसा हुआ that those people who were relatively rich, they were able to get more power. So a new ideology emerged, socialism, which became very harsh, which said kill all the rich people, came to be known as communism, violent overthrow of capitalism. So we study about Karl Marx, Marxism, right? Different forms of socialism, right? Leninism, Maoism, right? So माओ जो है वो गरीब किसान का नेता है, लेनिन जो है वो गरीब फैक्ट्री वर्कर का नेता है. That's why in India this internal security problem is called Maoism. It's not called Marxism, because माओ जो है वो किसान को टारगेट करता है, मार्क्स जो है वो फैक्ट्री के वर्कर को टारगेट करता है ना. तो ये सब आइडियोलॉजीज वी ट्राई टू सी, राइट. देन एक और, अब जब ये कम्युनिस्ट ऐसे करने लगे तो तेरे अंदर डर आया, fear that these communists they will enter into my country and they'll do XYZ thing, right? And kuch nationalism bhi tha, right? That is, you are feeling hurt that because of after World War One injustice has been done to me, but majorly because of communism there was rise of extreme right wing ideology called fascism. So we study about fascist Mussolini, we study about Hitler, Nazism, right? And well, these people were also responsible for world wars, so we study about world wars also, right? We try to talk about Cold War, although UPSC ने Cold War के बारे में बहुत कम पूछा है, which happened from 1945 onwards, right? So but हाँ ठीक है. So therefore this is how we focus on world history, right? Again there is somewhere a focus on people, right, and the states, right? So that's all actually world history. And post independence India maybe we try to focus upon all of these wars. For example, Indo-Pakistan wars jitni bhi hui hain, we try to focus on Indo-China war, right? We try to look at legal things like Lahore Agreement 1999, Simla Agreement, Panchsheel Treaty between India and China. So from वही उसी perspective से we try to see things, right? We try to talk about issue of Khalistan also, right, in great detail. After doing Khalistan issue in post independence India, actually no editorial can surprise you. ठीक है, we look at very threadbare, right, उसकी roots क्या हैं exactly, पूरा उसको देखते हैं, because Operation Blue Star etc also took place, right? So basically that's the purpose, that's the way we should ideally study any subject. I have given a thing about my subject, that is, you know, history, right? Primarily I teach modern history and world history and post independence India at Vision. Ancient and medieval they're taken care by, you know, equally competent and maybe even better teachers, right? So therefore that's how it is. But हाँ fun बहुत करते हैं हम लोग, है ना. तो और तू बाहुबली कब देखेगा? वेडनेस बाहुबली देखी तूने? गेम ऑफ थ्रोन स्टार्ट किया? तो मैं होमवर्क कैसे देता हूँ? गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स, आप में से कितने गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स देखा आपने? You have seen Game of Thrones. If you've seen Game of Thrones, na, it is in the nature of the power to centralize itself. That's why Varys and Littlefinger, ये तो character है उसमें. That's why they keep on looking at throne. They are wondering. It is in the nature of the power to centralize itself. कौन बैठेगा यहाँ पे? Varys जो है घंटों देखता रहता है throne को. It's not just because they want to be on the throne. They're also wondering who will capture. If you have seen Game of Thrones, for example, so therefore you know what is guerrilla warfare. Right? Khal Drogo, right? Therefore they travel light with speed, right? You are able to understand that, okay, Khal Drogo, Khalisi, that means this word Khal is somewhere related to, its roots are related to the king or the queen. So Genghis Khan was not Muslim. Khan meant leader, and therefore, for example, you automatically know, you have some idea that, okay, if Khilafat movement for dignity of Khalifa, right, in 1920 till 1924, so therefore you have some idea, right, about these things, right? So khair, basically the whole point is UPSC journey is very very tedious, so therefore don't kill yourself, matlab emotionally, psychologically, right? You can enjoy your preparation, just that whenever you are watching anything or whenever you are following your hobby, then also if you are able to see, a UPSC aspirant should be like, when he is watching Game of Thrones, like guerrilla warfare. Right? So because otherwise burnout will take place. So keep doing what you do in your hobby domain, but try to always enjoy UPSC, no? Right? So therefore try to always enjoy UPSC. You right, to be being totally committed towards UPSC means you'll be able to see UPSC in all of these things also, है ना. फॉर एग्जाम्पल जैसे एक लास्ट बता रहा हूँ, उसके बाद मेरा छुट्टी हो रहा है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल लाल बहादुर शास्त्री जी, when he was not taking any action against Pakistan in 1965. So Vijay Lakshmi Pandit called him prisoner of indecision, right? So therefore Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, in a speech he said that when India responds, the time and the place will be of our choosing. So I'm like, that means in the movie Saudagar, Rajkumar is making that dialogue inspired from लाल बहादुर शास्त्री जी, जानी हम तुम्हें मारेंगे और जरूर मारेंगे, बट जब मारेंगे तो जगह भी हमारी होगी, वक्त भी हमारा होगा, बंदूक भी हमारी होगी. Oh, Bollywood is getting inspired. What I'm trying to tell you is, मतलब ये जर्नी जो है, क्योंकि सिलेबस बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ा है, तो ऐसा नहीं करना है इसमें कि आप 24 घंटे, बिकॉज साइकोलॉजिकल वेलबींग इज ऑल्सो इंपॉर्टेंट. तो जो भी आपकी हॉबी है, मूवी देखना है, कुछ भी है, जस्ट कंटिन्यू दैट, right? Obviously dedicate major portion to this. Stay always connected with the UPSC and gradually try to learn how can you enjoy UPSC, whatever be your domain of hobby, etc. ठीक है ना? तो इस एटीट्यूड से रहेंगे तो we'll be able to clear this marathon. ठीक है ना? Otherwise there will be burnout, right? So thank you, God bless you, take care. It is with this attitude that we study modern history and all other subjects, right? So hopefully we'll meet again.